Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Happy Thursday. Today I'm going to be doing the next 5 stages of the Fanhome release and build the Back to the Future DeLorean.
Are we back? We're back.
So, going to be doing stages 42 to 46. I can't remember what we did in these stages. I haven't even looked at the magazines yet. All I know is that in issue 48, which will be the next pack, we got our first fiddly stage where there's a hell of a lot of wires that we're going to be mucking around with. Today I think it might be to do with a dashboard. I know there's some electrics in here. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, and it is still available, you need to check on your territory if it is and just keep coming back, because sometimes these models go and they come back. I have put a link in the video description here, and there's also a QR code on the screen. But without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, so we're going to start with the magazine for stage 42. Lots of little bits here. We've got the time displays. I knew we had some electrics in here, which is going to light that. So we're actually going to be building that time display box and the radio here as well. So by the end of it, it's looking like this. We're going to add that to the central trunk that we made before. And this is the rest of the magazine. As you can see, we've got the time controls with this 6-point switch as well in the next stage. So here is stage 42. So to start off with, we need this detail looking like this and this wire. And some very good magnifying glasses, because what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this wire through the tiny hole you can see there, probably on the top camera. Just like that, so it's all the way through. And then I'm going to be bending around this side here and posting it through the other hole. And I want to get this, that actually went in a lot easier than I thought it would, so that it's the same length each side. So it will take a little bit of manipulating, but there you go. They're in just like that. Now this is going to be going on top of the radio, and this is the radio here. You can check out all the details in that. It can only go in one way because you do have a locating lug on this, so that's going to go in like this here. And it's held in from the other side with an AP screw. So I've got that here, and it's just going to go down that section just there. Get that all the way in. Perfect. Now on the front of the radio, you can see we've got some holes in here. That's for these knobs that I've got just here. Tiny they are, and they are just going to be pushing. And make sure they're down all the way, because you don't want to lose these. You're not going to need to glue these in, because you can actually turn them. But they're in perfectly. So, taking what we've just created here, this is going to be going onto this base here. Easy to see how it goes because we've got a flat edge just here, which is going to go in that notch there. So this is going to sit on just like that. Now once again, that's held in with 2 AP screws. So that's one. Once you've got one in, it's easy to get the other one in. And that one's 2. Hopefully one of the cameras will pick this up. So now that's in place. Put that to one side. And this is the time circuits. Check that out. Now if I just shine my light behind this, you can kind of see how they're lit up. Hopefully. Okay. To actually light these up, we do have our own LED panel. So what I'm going to do is straighten this wire out. I'm not touching that end. But what I will do, once I've got any twists or kinks out, just double check the solder points on the board. They look absolutely perfect. Turn this over, and as you can see, we've got a slot here with a hole in it. All we're going to do is put the light sides facing down so that slots into the top there. Now this is going to be going onto this board just like this. So I just want to make sure that that wire is not impeding the side of this, so that when I put this on, it's going to go in this way. And I am just ensuring that the wire's not impeded, which it isn't, as you can see in there, probably best on the top camera as well. And once again, I'm going to be taking an AP screw through that clear panel to hold this into place. So once that's in, we've got the compass here looking like this. Now this does have a keyhole pattern in it, So it can only go in one way. It's going on top of this section just here. And it's held in with an AP screw. So that's the compass in as well. Just put this to one side, and as you can see, I've got the keypad now, looking like this. And I've got a base for the keypad to fit onto. So basically, this does have locating lugs in here. It's just a case of pushing this onto here like that. And then securing it in from the other side, once again, with an AP screw. And that's nice and tight like that in there. Then it's just a case of putting this on the bottom. It's going to go around this way, so make sure that we're not trapping the wire. And this should fit nice and flush in the base here. Just like that. And that's held in this time with BP screws. And just one on this side. And now that whole thing is looking like that. That's impressive, isn't it? Bring over the trunk that we worked on in the last pack, and this wire we've got now is just going to feed through the hole here. Get that all the way through, and then pull it down. Whoops. Like this. And then I just want to put these two lugs here into here as I'm pulling the wire down. So that sits in like that. It's held in from the underside once again with BP screws. This one here is number 2. And when that's in, it should look like that. And that's all there is to do in that stage. So in stage 43, big switch this one. This is the switch that's going to control all the electrics of the whole thing. So we've got the button board here. And as you can see, we're going to be making the time circuits again, putting the button board in, and then we're actually putting this into the central trunk as well. And this is the rest of the magazine. And as you can see, we're going to start the dashboard in the next stage. So, stage 43 here, I'm going to get all of these parts out. And it's quite an easy start for this. We're going to be taking these two sections here, looking like this, and piece them together. It has got a locating lug, so this can only go one way, just on top like that. It's actually held in with an AP screw. Just one screw, just through the hole here. Now we've got this shield cover to put on, and we want to make sure that this is in the right way so that the notch at the back here is the same as this notch here. So it's just a case of lining it up and pushing that in. It should hold itself in there, no problems. Then I've got this handle to go in. It's just going into the hole at the back. And there you go. That's in like that. I've got this red emergency stop button here, which is just a push-in switch. I am making sure I've orientated it that way round. And then I can just put this to one side. Now this is probably the most important part of the whole build, aside from the main control board. This is the switches that are going to operate everything. So before we do anything, you want to make sure that each button clicks when you put it down. If it doesn't, it means one of these is just out of alignment, and you may have to bend it to the left or to the right just to get that click. But out the box, it should be absolutely fine, as you can see there. Now I'm going to be mounting this to this bracket plate here. Now I am breaking tradition from the instructions here just for a second. What I'm going to do is just get some insulating tape here. And I'm going to be putting a thin bit of insulating tape just over the hole here, so that it covers those two contacts. Because what's going to happen is we're going to be putting a screw through them, and there is a chance that the screw can bridge the connections on this one here, which we don't want to happen. Just to cover the two contacts you can see just underneath the hole. Because once this is secured to the plate and it's in the car, it's going to be hard to actually fix that afterwards. So the way this goes on is with those screw holes, this is going to be going into this position here, and it's screwed in with AP screws. So I'm just going to use my tweezers here to create a hole again. Now I've covered it up. Again, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it because I don't want any chance of a short circuit in here. And there you go. So make sure that's tight. And now, as you can see, there is no chance of a short circuit in there. But that's the switches all in place and they all still click. Okay, we're going to be taking this and we're going to be putting this into this board here. It's going to lie in like this so that the tabs at the back here can be screwed to this. Once again, AP screws here to screw this in. And I'm being very meticulous to ensure that I'm not touching any of those buttons yet. You can touch them soon, just not yet. I then want to take this adhesive strip here and remove the backing like this. Then this is going to be going over the top of these buttons. So line them all up, let that drop into place like that. Perfect. So that is complete. We're now ready to add this to the central trunk. It goes this way round. So I'm taking the ribbon cable and feeding it through here all the way, making sure that this engages fine on that side and it fits flush in there. Turn it over and I'm holding that in with FP screws. Now we need two of these. One here. Use my PH1 screwdriver. These are quite big screws. Make sure that's in tight. And then just one on the other side. So that's in. And then once again, I'm going to check each one of these to make sure they're not impeded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. That's good. The last thing to do is to take this box here. This can only go in one way as well because we have got a flat edge. It's going in that way like that. This is the high voltage box. And again, turning it upside down, FP screws to get this in place here. And that is all there is to do in that stage. So in stage 44, as you can see, we've got the dashboard here. Quite a quick stage. We've just got a couple of things that we're going to be attaching to the dashboard. This is the rest of the magazine. Looking good. And in the next stage, as you can see, we're looking the instrument panel and the lights behind the instrument panel as well. So this is looking like this. Let's get all of these parts out. And this is what the dashboard is looking like. And the first section to put on is this bit of trim with the vent hole at the side. This is just going to go underneath this section just here. And it's held in from the bottom with FP screws. So I've got one here. Make that nice and tight. And one just on this side. And then, you've guessed it, we've got exactly the same going into the other side here. So this one is going onto the top just there. FP screws again to lock that into position, and that is currently what the dashboard is looking like. That's the end of that stage. In the penultimate stage of this pack, this is stage 45. As you can see, we have got the illumination for the instrument panel, which we're going to be putting in. So by the end of it, again, this is looking like that, and this is the magazine. And it looks like in the last stage, we have got some more details for the dashboard there. That looks like the plutonium chamber reader indicator. So here's all the parts here, all well presented in a little plastic box. Let me take the instrument panel out, and as you can see, it's already been pre-wired for us with the speedometer on top there. Just going to untangle this wire again. And again, not holding the wire or pulling it. I'm going to pull it from this end here and hold it here. So I'm not putting any strain on it, just to get any kinks out of that wire. Okay. Now on top of this, I've got this detail, which has got a locating lug, so it can only go in one way, just like that. It's held in with AP screws from the other side. So one there. and one here. That looks looking good. I want to take the light panel, exactly like we've been doing before. I'm going to untangle this, checking the connections, but I am straightening the wires out, but ensuring I'm not touching the base of it. That way there's no stress on those connections. And get that nice and straight. And when we put this in, it's going to be going in this way. This is the lights, and it's actually going down a slot. You can see a couple of grooves probably on the top camera each side that this is going to slip into. One. Oops, get the other side in. And two. So now that's sitting in the grooves inside there. So this connector that we've got connected to the speedometer, we can ignore for a second. Bring over the dashboard, because we're going to be putting this into place, but we want to put the two connectors coming from that illuminated light behind the dashboard into the hole just here. So let's get one through, that's the long one, and then the short one. And then seat this into place just like that. So it's looking like that there. I want to hold this in just from the underside with FP screws. So one screw just through here. Use my PH1 screwdriver on this. And one just in this side here. Make sure that's nice and tight, because you don't want the LED lights to move. But that's looking pretty good. Turning this over, we now want to train these wires to where we want them. So they're actually going to be going in this direction. And I do have a little tab. The screw hole is actually the smaller of the holes on these. So this connector is just going to go on top like that, hopefully on one of the cameras, held in with an AP screw. You don't want to pinch any of the wires. But there we go, that's in place. And they're running in the direction that I want them to. All I'm going to do then is take the actual instrument panel, and I'm going to be pushing this into the recess. Like this. And there we go. That's looking good. And that's all there is to do in that stage. So the last stage of this pack, this is stage 46. As you can see, we do have parts for the plutonium chamber now, which also has got electrics behind it. As you can see, it's going to light up, and we're going to be putting this into position there, as you can see. And in the next pack, by the look of it, we're going to be starting with the steering column and steering wheel. So the first thing we do need is this little detail here. Now this is going to go on the dashboard that we just created. Again, we do have a locating lug at the bottom, so it can only go in one way. It's going to go in like that, and held in from the other side with a BP screw. Get that screwed in. Excellent. We can then put that to one side, because we're now going to be making the plutonium chamber. Look at the details on that. That looks really good. Okay, this is just going to be going onto the front fascia of this housing here. And as you see, to put this in, we're going to be putting two AP screws just through those holes. So, one there, and one here. Again, with the light board, I'm going to untangle it. Check the connections. That I haven't got any loose wires in the board, mine are okay. Hold it at the base and make that wire tight. But I'm not putting any pressure on that end there by doing that. This, again, just like last time, is going to be fitting into the slots on each side here, which sit further back than the dashboard did. As you can see there, there is a sizable gap in there. And then just like we did with the dashboard, I'm going to be taking this lead and putting it through the hole here, making sure that's fed all the way through. And I want gravity to not be on my side here, because I don't want that light strip, so I'm doing it sort of like at a sideways angle, and then there we go, that sits in just like that. It's held in from the other side with some BP screws. and just one on this side here. So that is how that's looking. And then what we want to do is take the wire coming from that and connect it to the wire that was coming from the illuminated instrument panel. Ensure that these are connected together, which they are. And then I want to hold this wire into place here with, once again, one of these tabs. So the lug on the tab goes into the larger side, and then an AP small screw goes into the smaller side. Now I do want this connection here to not impede anything, so I'm just going to pull back some of this wire under here just to release the slack, so there's not as much tension on the joint inside there, and that's very neat, as you can see. And that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. There was loads to do in those 5 packs, but as you can see, we've come a long way to how this looks. We've done that. We've started on the instrument panel. Now, I wasn't joking with you. When stage 48 comes, which is the next pack, get yourself a coffee. We're going to need some time with that because we are playing a lot with the wires. Do you remember the wires that we did here? It's like that times 100. So if you haven't seen that, you're going to have some fun with that. Now, once again, if you do want to get this for yourself and it is available in your territory, you'll have to check. It is in the video description. And there's also a QR code on the screen, but I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.